way back, and talking about Sherbro Island, it was part of the issues like, okay, Idris, you have a Sierra Leonean origin. What are you bringing to Sierra Leone? What are you going to be doing for Sierra Leone? We got to a point where you went to the island, and then we got back the information about, okay, he's going to transform the city, to a point where some Sierra Leoneans thought it fit to drag you a bit on social media, and here we are. Take us through the journey of, how you've progressed to this stage so far.
Well, in truth, the progression has been slow. It's been, brick by brick. I think, if I'm honest, the announcement about what we wanted to do in Sherbro was premature. It was an announcement. It wasn't a first brick lay. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't make any announcement until I have, certain partnerships like the one that we formed with Octopus. But the progress is steady. It's slow, but it's steady. It's a very difficult project to put into legislative law, and that's been real stumblings. But the truth is, government, the people of Sherbro Island, and for the majority, most Sierra Leoneans are really up for the project and are slowly seeing the progress. I'm excited still, I still feel very optimistic, even though, if I'm honest, it's been difficult. And if I'm really honest, I've had opportunities in other African countries that are similar in projects like this, which have offered less barricades to success. That said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Things take time. We're a proud nation. We like to make sure that no one's just coming in and taking what we, taking us for a joke. So I understand the process, and that's where we are.
You could have done any other thing at that island. You could have, focused on any other project. How did you arrive at this conclusion to say, this is specifically what I want to be doing, the project I would like to see come to fruition at Sherbro Island?
I mean, look, when we say I could have done any other project, what do you mean?
Especially coming from the from the background that, you're a filmmaker, you're an actor from Hollywood. Not that we don't notice the love you're showing to Ghana with the industry, but again, it comes back to, it could have been anything, and especially during that time, education was the government's flagship. You could have said, maybe I'm building a university, or I'm just going to do a hotel, or I'm going to open a film academy, so many other things. But then that process to decide that this is specifically what I want to do, like, how did you get to that, and what's the rationale?
I think the process is, do we need another movie from Sierra Leone, or do we need change that lasts for 100 years? Do we need another school, or would we like to see a city that's built on future thinking, as in being in balance with the rest of the world in terms of sustainability, in terms of opportunity for young people? I can build a school, but it's one school, versus trying to build something that actually lasts for longer, something that actually makes change. People that come and build schools, make films, and are applauded, they don't actually move the dial as much as, let's change the law, let's change some actual groundbreaking. We've seen many people, foreigners, come to our country with concessions, and it's like big news heading, and they're going to do something. They take, and it's gone. So my process and rationale was, rather than build something that's small, build something that's very difficult. Build something that the world is saying, oh, you want to build that on Sierra Leone? Ha, ha, ha. That's what you should focus on, because the easier ones are there, but they're not going to make change, in my opinion.
This is more the reason why I want to ask a question on technology integration of these Sherbro Island projects. How central is that to the project itself?
Well, I mean, I think, I'd love Zarisa to jump in on this, but I think, in any developing nation, the integration of technology is a must at this junction. Gone are the days where we're getting water from wells. Okay, we have to look at technology. Gone are the days where we're using the talking drum to talk to our villages. We're using technology. And so when we're thinking about building a city, rejuvenating a beautiful island like Sherbro, we have to think about what are the technological steps. And that's where energy is a big part. You know, our country goes through energy crisis here and there. And that energy crisis is based on fossil fuels, the lack thereof. And so we sit in a situation like at a junction, well, what can we do? Which is why we partnered with Octopus. And I'd let Zorisa sort of answer that question.
Welcome once again, Zorisa. It's renowned across the world for clean energy. Say in New Zealand, I was getting through the internet on what you do and whatsoever. But why Sierra Leone this time around?
We had been exploring where we were next looking to develop renewable energy. We're in 15 countries at the moment. We'd been looking at the African continent for some time. And we wanted to be somewhere where there was a real motivation to transition away from fossil fuels. And actually Sierra Leone absolutely has that ambition. I think it's 85% renewables by 2030. And there's been some great steps made in that direction. But one of the things that we had noticed is that wind energy isn't something that this country has done at scale before. I think there's one turbine. We also work in our group at Octopus with renewable energy. We speak a lot to investors and institutional investment as well to come in and fund that. And one of the biggest things that we were finding was that because the data doesn't exist specifically on wind, we are having to sort of estimate it and put something in a model, a financial model that isn't real. And when you do that, what then happens is you layer risk upon risk upon risk around that data. So what we wanted to do was bring in wind turbines, real time, set them up. They can obviously generate affordable energy for communities from day one, but they're there to actually collect data. And along with that, there will also be some solar panels and also battery storage. So this ability to create energy off-grid or connected to a grid, but really explore and pilot on Sherbro Island how this could be created. So for us, super important Sierra Leone, because I think it's an environment where we could come and do that. But working together with SAP and the vision that Siaka and Idris have laid out, it also is one where private investment starts to look at the opportunity that can be opened up here in a slightly different light. So it can be channeled through a master plan like that's been created for Sherbro. On your technology point, I find this one so interesting that you were asking Idris earlier, because you stand back and we look at the way Africa has leapfrogged most other continents across the world in things like telecommunications. So it's gone straight to digital principles and digital signals. We can do exactly the same in energy.
Okay.
We can go there, rather than thinking hard infrastructure grid, you can do things with digital price signals that mean actually we can be creating wind farms, which are the cheapest form of energy we can be building across the world at a lower rate and hopefully deliver more affordable energy for people.
I know you must have visited Sherbro Island as we speak. Is that the case?
My team visited actually on last Wednesday.
So how is this project like? Say it's physical setup, so to speak. How's it like?
Yes, so at the moment it would be 5 turbines, so that's enough power for about 2,000 homes. And we will be also putting some solar panels there as well, and battery. And we're working to identify the best places where that could be located on the island. And I think we have at the moment 2 or 3 areas that we've identified. But the team spoke with a lot of the chiefs in the community last week, and I think this is something, the island itself is very eco-minded and enthusiastic to get clean energy, and that's something that they really came away thinking. And we'd love to be able to do this quickly. I mean, building wind, it doesn't have to take years. We built an installation recently in Dubai in 5 days. So we could be bringing this. You know, the team came out saying we want to do this ahead of the rainy season. We could do this really quickly if we had the ability to.
No promises, though.
You've learned the hard way.
It's about time. It's about taking the time and doing what's appropriate, but it doesn't have to take years.
Let's move over to you, Chiaka. Yeah. So, as Zoisa spoke about all that, it just brings to mind the environmental issues,
Yes.
climate change issues. And Sherbro Island does have a very unique ecosystem.
It does.
What are the plans or adherence for SAP to the highest environmental standards?
So the environment and sustainability is crucial to our project moving forward. And I think what's really exciting about our project, just to let people know, we have teamed up with some of the best world-class master planners in the world that have done similar projects in different regions, okay? I won't go through the list, but they are the blue chip companies. And one of the most exciting things they talk about is actually bringing sustainable development in line with kind of what's on the island at the moment. It's very crucial to moving forward in the project. So I call it economic development in harmony with nature. So that's our priority. And I think as African countries, because Africa needs new cities. This is not a vanity project for myself and Idris. Africa needs new planned cities. We don't have any planned cities. And when you don't have a planned city, when you get mass migration, it causes problems. You know, when you have planned cities, it's easier to manage. So I think for us with this project, the crucial part is, like I said, working with the environment, but also having economic development at the same time. And we can look at what the global north has done. I think Africa has the advantage that we can actually, with the environment at the forefront, rather than having to adapt to climate change. So the environment is at the forefront of our thinking, and all the studies, all the master plans. We want to preserve as much of the island as possible because it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but also we want to create opportunities. We want to bring big blue chip companies into Sierra Leone, into the West Africa region. And we want to make it a place where we can go visit, enjoy, live, work and play. So it's going to be an international city where everyone is acceptable and is accepted, and there's something there for everyone, but also done in the most sustainable way as possible. I think that's one of the most exciting things about the project, that this can be a blueprint for how future cities can be developed in the continent, because more of these projects are going to happen in the continent. The continent needs these projects. You know, we have the youngest population in the world. You know, so it's crucial.
So Sheka and Idris, this is one of the most brilliant initiatives that Sierra Leoneans are yearning to see come to fusion in country, because taking into cognizance what we've seen on the internet, the A's and B's of the project, it tells you it's one that will put Sierra Leone in the map.
Yes.
But again, can you help the public understand? Talk us through, just give us a visibility as to what we should hope to see at the completion of this project itself.
Okay, so this is a long-term project, and I want to make sure everyone is mindful that it's not going to happen overnight. Sure. But we have to build the foundations, like Idris said, so this thing lasts for generations. Yeah. You know, but this city, I will be in my grave, and the city will still be developing. Right. That's the reality of it. But we have to put the foundations in place. They're very crucial, because we want this thing to last for generations and have a transformational change, not just on Sherbro, but throughout the country. You know, because we can attract the people like Octopus. We've also signed an MOU with Lloyd's of London, the biggest insurer in the world, to back us. So we can bring these companies through what we're doing on Sherbro and showcase what Sierra Leone has to offer. Like Zoisa mentioned, her team came to Sierra Leone for the first time. We know that the Sierra Leone that is portrayed in the world is different from the Sierra Leone here. We're very peaceful, we're very friendly people. When they come to Sierra Leone, everyone that comes to Sierra Leone falls in love with Sierra Leone. and now it's time for us to showcase that. We've been, as a country, you know, we have always negativity in the media, but this project can literally there's so many kind of there's a kind of economic empowerment side, there's a sustainability, there's the rebranding of our country. There's many aspects to this project, but over the period of time, you will see a full-blown city, you know, literally, and hopefully we'll be able to showcase some kind of artistic drawings of what we have soon, so you can get to better understand what we're trying to plan for Sherbro.
Okay.
I think in layman's terms, you know, there are, as Siaka said, there are sort of layers to doing this, and the first layer, I would say, is restorative. Bont is a beautiful town, it has a lot of history, and the infrastructure there we want to restore, okay, because it will essentially be the first port of call in this, you know, master plan. So the restorative aspect is including energy, including communications, including sustainably developing around Sherbro. Sherbro has a lot of mangroves. The idea is to integrate our plans within what is there without removing. Second, third stage is about building essentially what is a city, okay? Multi-sector city, so an industrial area, which again, hopefully we want to create around renewable energy, a tourism sector, a residential sector. So when you think about Sherbro, it's the size of Chicago, maybe Singapore. It has 19 to 20 miles of beachfront on the Atlantic. So there's various residential opportunities for both living and holiday making. And then there is a business and educative center. To your point about a university, absolutely, that's on my plan. But there's no point building a university that has no power. So for me, the important thing is to build the foundations first. So that's to give you a sort of snapshot. We have a brochure that not a brochure, but it just ideates the sort of plan for the aesthetic that eventually we're going to put on the website. There's a website you can see. But it's a big 20-year project, you know. That's why it's important for Sierra Leoneans to understand how long these things take.
So, I of myself sometimes a lot, but with gentrification, it comes with its advantages and disadvantages. And the way you explain the city, what's the vision in terms of economic impact for not just the country, but also the residents there in Bont Island? Because oftentimes what we see with the gentrification is it brings in the haves and it kicks out the haves not in those communities. What's the vision for the project?
Well, that's not the vision, for sure. We, every step of the stage, and as you say, 6 years, we have been working with the various chiefdoms. Every step of the stage has been in conjunction with the people, the municipalities of the people. There's no version of kicking anybody off Sherbro. In fact, when I say restorative, is to restore what's there, including the people. And in fact, the people are the first residents, they are the residents. Now, of course, when you're building, and let's just be clear, West Africa has always had an open arm policy to welcoming people. But to your point, it's been welcoming, taking, them leaving, and not leaving much for us. And this project does not have that as a part of its journey. Our policy is to integrate our Sierra Leonean people first into this, from the workforce to those that can afford to live there. Sierra Leoneans should be first. There's no doubt about that. Tourism is not only for international tourism, but have you ever been to Bonf Island?
Sure.
Okay, so you've been there as a tourist, right? Therefore, Sierra Leoneans can be tourists. West Africans should be tourism. And when I go to Lagos, I go to Ghana, my mum's country.
Okay, I won't take offense, that's okay. I'm keeping
Don't take offense, my sister, please. But I go as a tourist as well, and I think West Africa needs a really beautiful West African location that is a tourist hub for Africans as well as. But your point about gentrification is a valid one, and it's one that we always think about, because we don't want that. We've seen that over and over again, and in Sherbro, we definitely don't want that.
And that's more the reason why we would love to usher in Zoisa. What does this project hold for, say, the locals who are living in Bonsai, who are living in Sherbro Island?
When we were on the island this week, one of the things that we did identify is that there is a tremendous opportunity for upskilling and creating jobs. And we'd like to work with the local university and also the technical college, so that we are actually leaving skills that are a lasting legacy, so in renewables. So it could be, for instance, in helping in construction, it could be in operations and maintenance of the wind farm. So it will definitely bring local benefits in that way, and we will work with the local community to see actually how this project can make the most difference in the first instance as well. So if it's that the wind farm is collecting data, there will be hopefully the ability to create a charging station, or we can connect that to the grid, but it will be clean energy, and we hope quickly that we can bring to the island and jobs.
Zoisa, I'm curious. So this project itself being done here in Sierra Leone could have been done in any other part of the world, or I'm sure there are other proposals heading your way from other parts of Africa, but you agreed to work with them and do it in Sierra Leone? What made Sierra Leone stand out? Apart from just the, the policy, because, the climate change policies, it's not just in Sierra Leone. Other countries are actually adopting climate change policies for the benefit of their cities. But what made Sierra Leone stand out, that you got to a point as a company you said, okay, we will do this, we're gonna jump on it?
I think there was a couple of reasons. One was we were obviously working with Siaka and Idris and understanding that this was a place where we could really come and do this now. And it was also a place where that data gap existed, which is almost, I think, being treated quite unfairly by financial institutions. So we wanted to kind of come in and not do the easy things, so go to places where it's easy to do this, but to really unlock a model where we could start to not only lead for Sierra Leone in wind energy and renewables, but West Africa and Africa more generally. I look across the African continent, and of course there are wind farms. I mean, I was reading a study the other day, and I think it says that you can get something like 460 gigawatts of projects in Africa, which is enough to power the continent's energy requirement 250 times over. But in West Africa, it's got barely any. I think Senegal and a couple of other countries maybe have single wind farms, but there is a huge wind resource here as well. And on the island, I think last week we were doing some very rudimentary wind surveys, and there is this ability to harness wind power within Sierra Leone. So it was really important that we showcase that. I also think that renewables is a young people's game. I think it's something that this next generation is really driving. And Sierra Leone, I think it's got 40% of its population is under 14. So I think if we can get this right now and quickly, then this is something that they will carry the mantle, and this will become a green country into the future in the way that we produce energy.
When she says young, she means me, okay?
No comment. No comment.
But again, what keeps playing on my mind is the project is one that is very brilliant, as I keep saying. Wind energy, we know it's the new gem in the block for many countries, because it's what's been adopted by many countries more so as we keep seeing the effects of climate change in many parts of the world. But again, what's the cost of this project? How cost effective is this project? It is
in terms of how much it costs.
How much it costs.
Okay. Well, the cost of making those, Teresa would have the best sense, but there is no cost to Sierra Leone at this juncture.
I mean, I understand. It's an
investment.
I know it's an investment.
It's an investment in faith.
But what will it cost?
What would it cost if it was to be paid for? Teresa, I don't know.
I would say it's very difficult to know at this juncture because we're still in feasibility stages, but you're talking several £1 million.
Wow. Idris, this project does not only benefit the investors putting their money in this, it also stands to benefit, become a benefit to the country by way of tourism, especially international tourists who would be coming into the country. The government itself gets direct revenue from their coming to the country. On that note, what sort of support or contribution is the government of Sierra Leone given to the fruition of this project?
I think there's the main support, and this is coming from H.E. himself, is to allow this to be very different from any other concession agreement or partnership. What I mean is that we have been given the license to approach this in a very different way, which is why, in fact, it's taken longer to do. Okay, so in other words, what the government has given us is this ability to create something that is outside the Constitution, outside of law. Okay, even though it hasn't passed yet and we're still working through that process, but they have allowed us to ideate this on a completely different plane. Okay? Now, that is very difficult, and it obviously is because it hasn't happened. It's still taking time to do that. But from my perspective, the fact that our country is open to two Sierra Leoneans coming to completely create a new city on Sherbro is a benefit. All right, it is a benefit. The other thing they're doing is allowing myself to bring investors like the Octopus Group to come into Sierra Leone, and all the packaging infrastructure around bringing foreign investment into the country via a Sierra Leonean company. These are the things that allow the government has been really helpful with.
Shaka, Idris keeps talking about timelines. I think he has learned talk about the projects. The expectation is by a blink, it's there and it's available. But what's the timeline? Because even on our Facebook page, there's someone commenting already there's a thermostat who says he's watching all the way from Bonth Island.
Okay.
But there's curiosity. Like it gets exciting. Okay, new city. Are we going there this December on vacation? What's the timeline?
You can go this December if you want. But also,
the new city though?
No. In regards to timelines, okay, I would say this. So we hope to have the feasibility studies are crucial to the project going forward. So we hope to have the master companies that we're working with, there's about 6 or 7 companies, come to Sierra Leone in the next few months to undertake these studies. These studies will be finished hopefully by the end of this year. That forms the basis of the plan for Sherbro Island. Now, in terms of construction has evolved so much that things can be done very quickly regarding, look, Idris spoke about Bonth. Bonth is very crucial in the island. So we'll be looking at kind of developing that. It's beautiful. It's very interesting. It has a very historic kind of history. So we can't give you timelines. Timelines are difficult to place. But what I can say, at this juncture where we're at, we're very close to actually you beginning to see more economic activity on the island in terms of people coming in, consultants coming in, experts coming in, more stuff on social media, more plans being showcased. So that's the thing I can say. In terms of...
I'm not trying to push you, but is this going to run for like 20 years, 30 years? Are we still going to be having this conversation of the pre-planning for 50 years?
No.
There must be an estimate somewhere. Yeah. Is this like a 5 to 10 year plan, a 10 to 20 years, 20 to 30? Like there must be some estimate.
Okay, so to start building, it's within the 2 to 3 years to start building. But you've got to remind yourself, okay, Freetown is still building. Freetown has been here over 100 years. It's still building. New York is still building.
I wanted to say everywhere is
Dubai
still building.